welcome to Astrology with Kevin Arba. My name is Sarah, and just tell us about how you became an astrologer and what your specific philosophy is on astrology.
Yeah, so I mean, I think you're kind of coming from where most people do with astrology. You learn a little bit about it, your curiosity is piqued, maybe you have a reading or you hear something and it resonates and you find some meaning from it. And it's like, wow, this is cool. And little by little, over the course of many years, your enthusiasm brings you to one thing or another, and you learn kind of a little piece at a time. I, on the other hand, have been a student of a number of things, and when I find something that interests me, I get obsessed. I'm always reading and learning something, and I just happened to be reading an introduction to astrology book, and so I took it serious and I learned as much as I could, just not because I was planning on becoming an astrologer, but just because I like to learn. Typically things of metaphysical nature. And I had a couple of my friends who are astrology enthusiasts as well, who had just come back from a conference. They were saying, oh my God, these people are making all these crazy predictions. Like, the world as we know it is about to change. And the specific predictions were wildly inaccurate. Nothing was even close. However, the magnitude of what they were predicting was very accurate. And then as things kind of started to happen, I was like, oh, this is real. I needed to know what these astrologers were looking at.
Right.
Like, I had to know. And so I got obsessed. And at that point in my life, I didn't have a job. I kind of was in a situation where I could focus completely on it. And I got all the charts of everybody I knew, the people in my life, my family, and I just went on I bought a bunch of books, just Amazon, whatever piqued my curiosity, and I probably spent 20-30 hours a week reading, and probably another 20-30 hours a week looking at these people's charts and trying to figure things out. And it was just I was just completely immersed in it for probably about 9 months.
Wow.
I just spent a few hours a day reading and a few hours a day kind of looking at things or just thinking about things. That's also kind of the way my mind works. I get obsessed, and I just think over and over and over again, so I learned quite a bit quite quickly. Made some really meaningful discoveries just about myself, about the people in my life. And prior to learning astrology, I'm a life coach, maybe like a spiritual life coach. I got really into neurolinguistic programming and Tony Robbins' work and just the whole process of what Tony Robbins would call practical psychology. How do you make a positive change in the way you feel, the way you live? And so astrology gave me this whole other layer of depth into understanding just the nature of the personality and the circumstances we experience in life, and just what makes up the human mind and body and life experience. What I've come to believe is that different astrologers, for whatever reason, there's a field of intelligence which kind of sets certain rules up that are particular for them and the people that show up in their life. And so I've learned to kind of just trust that the universe will bring me the people who my understanding and distinctions match with.
Right.
Because the way I've learned to practice astrology, the beliefs I've come to are very different than most astrologers. And so over the course of this training, what we intend to offer you is more traditional, particularly in the beginning, the traditional interpretations and meanings of the signs, the planets, the sun, the moon, and all of that. And then I will also add what I've come to believe based on my experience. Something that's really important to consider is that anything, say the sun, moon, and the rising, for this first video, different astrologers don't agree on anything. I mean, there's enough astrologers out there to where people have had different experiences and found one thing or another to be true. What I hope for the students of this course is you learn the terminology, you learn how to learn astrology. So you get the chart, you get your own chart, you get the people you know, your family, your spouse, your significant other, close friends, roommates, neighbors, coworkers, whatever, like people you actually know, who you interact with regularly, or at least you used to. And then you just look at the stuff, you think about like, okay, like knowing what I know about this person, how are these different pieces of their chart actually showing up, like, and playing out in their personality, in their circumstances, in their tendencies, right? And to just learn to think critically. So instead of saying, oh, I see this, so that means you must be this way, it's like, I know this person, I know how they are. How is that particular quality showing up in their chart?
Right.
And understanding that life is supposed to be challenging, and astrology gives meaning to those challenges. One of the things that people struggle with in life is that they believe their challenges to be meaningless, to be the so we need our challenges, and like if you wanna get bigger muscles, you need to stress your muscles, right? So if you want to become more mature and develop wisdom, you need to go through some sort of psychological stress and find a way to work through that and find a solution to it. And so very often people don't work through it because they believe that they're just unlucky, that this is just random and meaningless. And so astrology, one of the perhaps the most profound benefit that my clients have gotten from astrology, as well as what I've gotten in my own life, is that I've been able to discover the meaning of my challenges, and to discover that it's not random, that this was indicated in the moment of my birth. Maybe not the specifics, but the particular certain kind of qualities, as well as seeing other people in my life. Like, oh, this person really couldn't have been like any different than they were.
Right, and we, you and I have talked about how a lot of times we are attracted to people that will help us work through some of those challenges, and typically people are attracted to those people in romantic. And I think, again, the way we've developed as a society is when we do hit a challenge, we're like, we got to get away from this challenge.
It's part of American culture.
It is.
And like we just want everything to be easy. And what's interesting is we've seen like the development of like where we've devoted our resources as a culture, it's to eliminating any form of discomfort. And so within the context of life, experiencing challenge and discomfort and being able to like turn into it and be present with it and embrace it allows you to focus enough and ask like meaningful questions about how you can work through it and use it as a tool to grow as a spiritual being. And astrology provides a great deal of insight. And we're presenting this information in a format to which you can kind of re-expose yourself over and over and over again. And ultimately, if you're going to learn this stuff, it's going to be through repeated exposure. And to the extent that you can expose yourself without getting stressed, without getting serious about it.
And that's that's something that I think, one of the things I wanted to talk about was just next steps after you take the big 3 astrology course, which is just really the very basic building blocks of learning sun, moon, ascendant, and just really, we're just giving you kind of a snapshot of how to start to look at a natal chart. So
the 3 most important pieces of information. So you start there, right? But to just start thinking about them, and then perhaps thinking about how your sun, your moon, and your rising, based on how we describe them, blend with the energy of whatever sign they happen to be in.
Yeah, so I mean, what we would encourage people to do is, we have a video explaining how to look at your natal chart. So at that point, then you can find out the sign of your sun, moon, ascendant, and like you said, you can start to research on your own. We're launching another course, an introduction to astrology course where we'll be going over the rest of the planets and the houses, and then from there, you're going to be teaching a live aspect course in the future. And we would love any feedback, and to continue to grow this YouTube channel, and we're going to continue to offer new classes. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and please visit Kevin's website. Again, we're